Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're taking a trip to the new All You Need Is Books £1 warehouse with my friend there, Steve, the Outlaw Bookseller. And this is run by Morris. And Morris has been on the channel before, as you probably are aware. But this is the first time we filmed at Morris's new £1 warehouse. And, well, there was quite a lot to see, as you can see. So, first of all, it's bigger than the old £1 warehouse. And there's more space for Morris to get his extensive stock out. And even though these books are £1, it's not because, yes, some of them are lower grade copies, but in a lot of cases it's simply because Morris has got multiples of them. And he would rather, if he's got 3, 4, 5 or more copies of a book, they might as well come down here and be cleared out. So that's the reasoning behind it. Plus, it's somewhere that people can easily drop in and out of. Morris's main warehouse, where he's got his stock, which is listed on the website, is a bit less accessible, you could say. It's not that easy to shop. It was never designed as somewhere where you could go around and have a little look at what was available. It was designed as more a repository which he could go and sell from online. But this is something completely different. So anybody who saw Morris's stall at the recent paperback show in London, Morris was besieged with people all day because he was full of books at £1 a piece. Now, to get to this place, and obviously I'll put the details in the description down below so you can pop it in your sat nav, but it's basically near Westbury, which is in Somerset. It's near Frome, to give you sort of an idea of whereabouts it is. You can park right outside. It's open Monday to Friday, 10 till 4. So you've got a little window there. Obviously phone first, just to make absolutely sure that it's going to be open. But, I certainly did fill my boots here. And there was lots that I was really pleased to pick up, including some books I've been after for quite some time. If you came here as a reader with a £20 note in your pocket, you go away with a carrier bag full. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. It is, a reflection of Morris's overall stocks. There's a lot of science fiction, there's crime, and then there's a bit of general stock. Lots and lots of cheap doors there at £1 a pop, admittedly with a lot of them with yellow spines, but not all of them. As I said, Morris has got duplicates, triplicates of some of the door books. Certainly very, very hot at the moment. But yeah, plenty to look at. It was well lit. It was a really, really nice day as well, which was great. We've had such rotten weather lately, so it was good to get up there when the weather was nice, and it made the drive up a bit easier. My friend Steve, the Outlaw Bookseller, he'd just come down from Bath. It's quite a short little train trip for him from Bath to Westbury, whereas for me, coming from Plymouth, it's 2.5 hours on the motorway. But although we haven't been up here for quite a few months, I think we may have come up maybe January. It has been quite a while since I've been able to catch up with Morris here, so it was long overdue. And I sort of ran out of steam. I didn't quite get to really shop it all properly because I was doing so much filming, and it would be good to come to Morris's and not film at all, just go along to shop. But I can't sort of resist it, really. There's just so much to see. It really is paperback heaven. And Morris does sort of state that he's got 100,000 books, and you can see it, can't you? He easily has. He recently bought an Edgar Rice Burroughs Tarzan related collection, a huge one of those. You do see later on, you'll see some quite a bit of that. He also bought a few bits from the recent Warren and Wignall auction, and got a few bits from that as well. So has had quite a bit of new stock, which I believe he's still sorting out. It all takes time, and plus he's listing stuff all the time on the website. So that's probably the easiest way to check his current stock, is just to jump online to the Zardoz Books website, or All You Need Is Books, and have a good look on there. But when you think everything you're looking at here is £1, and he has got anything which is slightly like a hardback, for example, or like an old pulp. They are £3. That's the two price points, but he hasn't got much of the £3 stuff. It is 95% of it, if not more, is all just £1 a book. And there is stacks here to get your teeth stuck into, as you can see. Loads and loads of it. Not all science fiction. As I said, there is some general stuff mixed in here. These are all £1. These weren't anything special, hardback wise. But from a reader's point of view, I mean, just incredible, really. And you can see there's lots of really great stuff there. There really is. I've tried to be as steady as I can on the camera, and there's definitely lots of different lighting conditions that I came across filming here and also filming in the warehouse itself, which is particularly problematic with some lighting issues at the moment there. But I did my best, but stick with me. It's quite a long old video, this one, but I think it paid to be quite sort of comprehensive. Even my pickups at the end is about 6 or 7 minutes long, because I managed to find a whole box load of stuff here. I mean, I really couldn't believe it, but going through so much £1 stock, there was bound to be bits and pieces in the air that you were going to come across, and that was certainly the case. Now, what Morris was in the process of doing, I think it really done well, is filling up the walls with some memorabilia in that, and I think he's done a really great job there. This is I've looked through these before, but this is an example of what Morris has got now that he's got the room to get this stuff out. These were Australian pulp and paperback covers. He bought a huge load of these quite a while back now. He didn't buy them all by any means, but he bought quite a few of them. And I think they're really nice, bold and bright. Each one's got sort of a little certificate with it where it came from. Some of them have got the titles on, some of them haven't. They're not sort of the more familiar British artists who you might recognise. These are, as I said, are Australian, but really, really nice jackets on those. And these are the original paintings, which is great, isn't it? Very nice indeed. A few bits of original art dotted around and prints and things like that to keep the place fresh. There's Steve checking the shelves. There is indeed a full-size motorbike in the middle of the shop. I don't know why that is, but he's got a chopper in the warehouse, so a quick getaway. There's some of the men's adventure stuff there, Executioner and what have you, Don Pendleton stuff, Mac Bolan. Morris does have stock of that in depth at the warehouse. If there's any of that you need, he's pretty much got it all. I noticed there's a few odd Star Trek books here. He's got, once again, a huge Star Trek section, which we'll have a look at later on. But yeah, stacks of good stuff here. Stacks of it. Hopefully it's nice and clear. I do film these trips now all in 4K. So if you pause, it should be fairly sharp with a bit of luck. As I said, there's definitely some lighting issues later on, but hopefully you don't find it too off-putting. So there's no order to this stuff at all. It is literally just by price point. It's not A to Z by author's surname or anything like that. Whereas the warehouse, it does tend to be a lot more sectioned, so that Morris can get to the stock easily if someone orders something online. And when we were there was a big pile of orders that had just come in waiting to go out, that had been pulled. Yeah, it just doesn't end, does it? I mean, literally incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, one thing which Morris mentioned at the end was that he's had some discussions with our friend Dorset Bob, as we admire more original artwork here, about having a book fair actually at this location. So outside the shop is a whole load of, well, there's masses of space. So if we did it on a Sunday, Bob and Morris are thinking about having a book fair, basically. So a paperback fair. So for a change, you wouldn't need to trek all the way into London. Obviously, Morris would have all of this stuff available at £1 each. You could fill your books. There he is, putting up some more pictures. And Bob himself would come along and have several stalls. And even if it had to go outside, the stalls would be under sort of gazebos or marquees. So he is thinking of doing this in a few months' time. So if this sounds pretty interesting, once we get the details firmed up, Steve and I, of course, will share it on our channels. So you can plan to come along on that Sunday. But I think it will be very, very good. That's slightly out of focus there. That's some hardback science fiction book clubs out of dust wrappers, but a nice selection all the same. I don't actually mind reading those. They're actually quite well produced, those books. But yeah, I thought that was really exciting news. That so they'll have loads and loads of room. Apparently they've already been in contact with some dealers, so I think it's going to be full up. And it will be well worth it. And if you think you've got all of this to look forward to, as well as, I'm sure Morris will make a point of absolutely filling his £1 bookshop here to the brim. You can absolutely imagine how good an event it's going to be. So you heard it here first. It's in the early stages of organisation at the moment, but as soon as we got some firm details, rest assured, myself and Steve will be sharing it on the channel so we can give you the dates, the times, the location, all the rest of it. And of course, what dealers are going to be coming along as well. As you can see, there's some general stock in here as well, some crime and general stock. I think some of this might be the overflow from the Warren and Wignall auction. But yeah, I think Morris has done a really great job in getting the place looking tidy, shoppable, very, very shoppable. And all the extra bits and pieces, the covers and that up on the walls, it just makes it a great little destination, really. And there really is nowhere quite like it. So yeah, I think this should be on your list if you're traveling sort of the southwest of England this summer. I think you'll want to stop by. I think these were the slightly dearer hardbacks, like sort of £3 a pop ish. So it's not all genre. It's British, early British paperbacks. And some pulps there. Very nice. Morris has got stacks of pulps in stock. Lots of the classic science fiction runs and like Alfred Hitchcock Presents. We'll see them all later on in the video. I thought these were particularly nice. This is a lot which I think Morris said he got earmarked to go onto eBay. He does sell on there as well. This is predominantly a run of Tom Adams Agatha Christie's that were published by Fontana. There's also some sort of slightly later, late 60s Pan titles, which is that one, for example. And he's going to put these all up in a job lot, I believe. Last year, Morris bought a 1,000 book collection of Agatha Christie's, and there was loads in there. I had a nice batch myself. Very pleased with the ones I picked up last year. But this is another lot. I think these are all almost all different, but they were predominantly from that collection because they're in the protective sleeves, a lot of them. But I thought, well, since they're here, I might as well take the opportunity to have a quick look. I certainly haven't got them all. I got a fair old batch. I've probably got 3/4 of the Tom Adams covers now, but I haven't got them all. And I have got a list, but it's an illustrated list, and I just didn't have time to go through and check all the pictures. I need to make that more a written list so I can check a bit easier, a bit quicker. But there you go. But Morris has got more of this stock back at the main warehouse anyway, so if you want any of these, if you're missing any, and they're not that expensive, £3 to £5 each, it's not bad. No, it's cheaper than buying the books brand new, which are like £8.99. And these are far, far more attractive jackets than what you get today. Although I do believe the Christie's have been worked on a little bit to try and liven them up, because they like a lot of jackets at the moment. It's just all text. There's no actual art involved. It's a real shame. There's some lovely ones there. This is the last little batch. Didn't want to miss any out. I love that one of Taken at the Flood. Death in the Clouds is almost iconic, isn't it? Good stuff. So that was it for the £1 warehouse. And now we're into Morris's main warehouse. Yes, a mail order stock. So you can visit, but it is very much by appointment only. So you need to contact Morris first of all and see if he's going to be around when you'd like to visit, and very much time your moment and hope that the stars are aligned so you can do both things, the £1 warehouse and the internet. I will call it the internet, the website warehouse. But all of the stuff that you're seeing here, I think pretty much is all on the website now. So you can pause this and you should be able to look all the bits and pieces up if you do spot something that you fancy, and you should be able to pop it into your basket that way. So just check out the website. The links are, of course, down below. Now, this first bit, as you go in, wasn't too badly lit up. I had the flash on my phone, and the really dark bits I've just completely left out because they were a bit too dark to share here. But I did film. I wouldn't say I filmed absolutely every shelf. There's too much. There's just too much to go through. But I filmed what I could, basically, and this is sort of perhaps non-genre hardback books. But he has got separate, like, military history sections, for example. I know Steve's wants to have a really good look through a lot of this hardback stock when he gets a chance. But that's the thing. See, I knew what was coming up. I know Morris has got dedicated Penguin sections. He's got dedicated Pan books, Corgi, Panther, Foursquare, and New English Library. I knew there was bound to be stuff in there that I wanted. And some of the stuff I filmed, and then I meant to go back and grab it, and I just forgot about it and went on to the next thing. And consequently left some stuff that I actually seen in this video behind. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. I can always get the mail order or wait till next time, so it's not the end of the world. But you do see what I ended up with at the end of the video, and there's a did really well, really well, in all honesty. I wasn't expecting to buy so much, but when over half your haul is coming from the £1 books, you can't really go wrong, can you? This is sort of literary B format, C format, and some hardbacks, all genres. But predominantly this is the literary stuff. The science fiction has been pulled out, and that's separate. This is obviously military history again. Into the crime. A few odd nice reference books there. But Morris makes the most of his space. I mean, he really does. There was one area that I didn't go in this time round, and I had a good look last time, and it's the bulk of the Penguin collection that he bought last year. He's still got quite a lot of crates of some of it to be processed, which he is getting around to listing now on the website, so it is worth checking that out. There's an awful lot there to get through there. You see the rows and rows and rows of it. But yeah, this always seems like a bit of a miscellany in effect. But when we get into the next warehouse, it's a bit more broken down. I think, just for ease of pulling customers' orders from the website. Yeah, loads here. Absolutely stacks. This is a bit of a mixture of bits and pieces, really. This is in the same warehouse, but this is the science fiction and fantasy specific B and C format titles. And it tends to be a bit more recent stuff as well. There's lots of the science fiction masterworks. There is some vintage in here, some vintage B format stuff, but it's predominantly larger. And this is in, pretty decent A to Z by surname. Your mind, rather your camera, I should say, wanders when you're looking around the warehouse because you just keep seeing other stuff out the corner of your eye. I think, oh, I must look at that. I must look at that, and you get distracted. And that definitely happened to me, which is why some things, there was a couple of bits I meant to go back and pull once I'd done one wedge of filming, and I either forgot or I went back and I didn't see them. So it's like, that's a bit frustrating. I'm sure Morris had a Muth and Sixpenny, and I saw it when I was filming, and I thought, I wonder if that's one that I haven't got. And I went back to find it, couldn't find it. So it's sort of typical, isn't it? But so there's so much there to go through. It really is. Absolutely loads. But, since the lower grade titles have all been weeded out, lower grade copies into the £1 bookshop, the quality of the books that are left at the warehouse is generally very high, and that is reflected with the stock that you're looking at. It's good stuff. Now, this is an area which is suffering from a bit of a lack of fluorescent lighting, so it's been filmed with the camera just on my phone, which isn't great to be filming something like this, but it's as good as it's going to get, so I hope you're not too disappointed. But it was better than not covering it at all. It's been so long since I've done a proper shoot at Morris's that I wanted to have a decent look around to see what it's like at the moment. You see there's absolutely loads there. It's the graphic novels. More SF and fantasy. He's got, well, I wouldn't say he's got them all, but he's got an awful lot of the Glance science fiction masterworks there. I mean, if you're looking for some of those, he's got decent stocks of them all. And they're the better editions with the actual artwork covers rather than the awful ones they're pumping out at the moment. Some more Tarzan there. And Edgar Rice Burroughs, as I said, it's all related to that big collection he bought in recently. This is the got a few shelves of Star Trek, Next Generation, DS9, Voyager. Of course, they publish so many of those books. I mean, I think it's about 600 or 700 in actual fact. And they don't publish anything like as many today, so maybe about 8 to 10 Star Trek books a year, I think, are published now. Fiction, anyway, maybe less than that. But in their heyday, there was 4 a month. I remember there was just incredible. 4 a month. Just shows how popular Star Trek was when it came back and got very, very big in the early 90s. I mean, it was huge. But I got a soft spot, and I particularly like the original series. That's my favourite of all. And I've made a point of collecting original series paperbacks. Back to more hardbacks now. As you can see, everything is pretty much bagged up. Keep it nice and fresh, because I mean, I don't know, if Morris has any sort of problems with this stuff being in a warehouse, but there was no trace at all of any dampness. But I guess just in case, keep everything bagged. It's going to give it that extra level of protection. But even in my studio here, I always have a dehumidifier on, a couple of days a week, generally speaking, just to make sure the place is bone dry. And that doesn't hurt one little bit. Classic annuals there, TV and film related. A few Big Little Books, Better Little Books, onto the Star Wars and related paperbacks. Some of the more recent 90s stuff. Then into Doctor Who, the same again. A few Hollywood annuals. This is the last little bit of the first part of the warehouse. These are his Men's Adventure. These are the main stock of those, and then Executioner and what have you, Mac Bolan. And stacks of it into his Western stock. He's got about 3 full bays of Westerns. I wouldn't say he specialises in it, but this is all the Western stock, and there's loads there. I know that's only scratching the surface of what's out there, but there it is. So now I've moved into the final sort of warehouse bit now, and I have filmed this before. So this is where some of it's broken down by publisher. So this is slightly more modern Penguin, and he has got the vintage crime separate again, but this is sort of from about 1970 upwards Penguin. More recent bits and bobs and things like that. And some of the new Simonons. A couple of box sets. I did actually pick up a box set from Morris this time around, when he actually gave me the slipcase, because I've got the books already, which is quite nice. He's got about 3 bays of Pan books, and this is the stuff on the whole that he's got in quite large numbers, as you can see. In fact, it's amazing to see so many copies of just the one book sometimes, particularly when it's a vintage paperback as well. Like all those copies of The Great Charlie there, 3, 4, 10 copies. I mean, that's bananas, isn't it? But it's a collectible book. He's not going to pop that down into the pound section, I suppose. Maybe it's worth a couple of copies, I don't know. But look at them all. Amazing, eh? Absolutely amazing. Lovely to see so much classic Pan. Big fan. I must come up, because now that I've been going through my Pans, and I've been quite vigorous with my ones that I need to upgrade, I must come back with that list in hand to have a look through some of these and just double check if he's got any upgrades, because I think there may be just a handful of Pans here that I haven't already got. But I wasn't really in a Pan picking up mood this time round. But maybe next time I'll come up and specifically check my lists. But there is nowhere else with this many Pan books for sale at any one time. It is as simple as that. Racks and racks and racks of them, which is great. Pan is still very hot, seemingly. And that's good. They're just so accessible, Pan, aren't they? If you decide to collect a vintage publisher, there's a lot of variety as well. So I think they definitely attract a particular sort of collector, one who enjoys a good read, but at the same time might find the Penguins a bit boring with their sort of uniform covers. But yes, I shall try and bring my get my list up to date next time. This is a little run of that, the Alfred Hitchcock mystery magazine. This went for years, didn't it? I know Hitchcock himself used to pore over all the sort of the mystery and tales with a twist short stories, because he was looking for ones that he could adapt for his TV show, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And he was a huge name. It's hard to think about it nowadays, but he was massive. I mean, I can remember when he died. He was like 81 years old when he died, and I was in primary school, sort of junior school, and I remember it vividly. I mean, I absolutely do. I remember it almost as clearly as John Lennon dying, which is around the same sort of time, actually. This is Morrissey's. He's got a whole bay of 1960 down, no, 1969 backwards crime, back to 1935. He's got a few early ones, not many. I'd been through those last time I came round, and it didn't look like there was much new had been added, so I didn't go through them with a fine tooth comb. But we can see there's a few nice early ones there. It's got some Agatha Christie's as well. Yeah, this is definitely some good stuff there. Probably a few books I could have upgraded myself. And as I said, when you're in that environment, it's hard to sort of, you just want to pick up the stuff. Thinking about going over books that you've already got and just getting better copies is perhaps not high on the agenda. But it's something I know I need to do. That's what I'm getting at, really. I think both Steve and I were surprised at how much we ended up buying. And even then, Steve said, he didn't really get a chance to go through the hardbacks properly, just glanced over them, really. And for me, as I said, I concentrated more on filming than shopping. And I think I need to just go to Morris's for a shop one day. Giles Daniels, Penguin Collector's stuff, probably from that collection again. This is a few miscellaneous titles, essays, and then into the autobiographies. And the Nick Carters all together. Never been done much for me. On Sexton Blake's, the Sexton Blake Library. Panther, there it is. It's Morris's Panther stock. It's sort of in numerical order from when they started up to around 1970. Then they're under the author's surnames. You can see the light is a little bit problematic. We're right in the depths of the warehouse now, and the lighting was struggling a bit. I had my phone's light on as well, flash on permanently to try and give it that extra little level, but it's been difficult, and I've played around with it a little bit in post-production to try and lighten it a little bit as well. So it's not brilliant, but it's not, hopefully not awful. It's hundreds of analogues, and it's funny, I don't think the pulps are just selling. I think they're just not selling, or they are selling, but there's plenty of supply. Maybe it's that way around instead. But I certainly like the pulps, and there's several I'd like to get hold of in time. This is Morris's stock of gold medal. There's UK and US ones sort of mixed in there, but some great titles. Then a run of a John D. MacDonald. I mean, great stuff here. I didn't really have time to go through these, but I think I ought to. There's some good stuff in gold medal. Also, Morris's Ace stock as well. Didn't have a chance to have a proper good look through, although I did last time. So, and this is his Badger stock. He's got quite a bit there. It tends to be a little bit on the beaten up side, but there is some nicer copies there. It just depends if you need them or not. A couple of rows of Badger. definitely some there I need, just getting around to it. A bit of Mad, classic Mad, which I don't mind, and then more Collins Crime Club stock. Then Digit. Plenty of Digit there. Oh, I don't think I bought any this time round. Some Vintage Arrow, Alexander Kent. Get some Dennis Wheatleys as well. Once again, I meant to check because there's 2 or 3 Dennis Wheatleys, there they are, that I'd like to pick up in particular Arrow editions, but I didn't check them. Another box of Astounding and Analog on the floor. We've got some Saint paperbacks, Leslie Charteris. Now we're into tail end Foursquare before it went into New English Library. So these are numerically ordered. So it's from the 60s going up to the mid-1950s. I picked up a few. Now, Vintage Corgi. And what a great collection he's got there. Once again, I didn't really go through. I would have liked to have, spent some time and picked up a couple, but time was, we were there a long time, but there isn't enough time to go through it all. There's just too much in one hit. You can only do, so much of it. It's just impossible. All this old Corgi, slightly later Corgi now, when they went to normal A format from the pocketbook size. So Sven Hassel. Good stuff. These are the Galaxy pulps, which Morris got a huge run, as you can see. This is just a bit more sort of general stroke crimey stuff. There's some good stuff in here. You need to go through it quite carefully because there's lots of different publishers, lots of different authors. Some of them are like standalone books. They're not really parts of series and things like that. All tucked away in here. Certainly on reflection, there was a few real vintage paperbacks that I wish I'd have checked since I was there, but I'll try and make a point of checking them next time round. Some of the weird Hutchinson offshoots and things like that. A bit of a darker part of the warehouse again now. But just watching it back now, doing the audio, I'm seeing stuff that I wish I'd had a slightly closer look at at the time. It just means you got to go back and have another good look through. Spotted a little toucan there. I've had my toucans out lately, and I got about 20 out of the about 100 that they did. I managed to find 2 at Morris's that I didn't have, so there's a couple others he had that I already had, which I suspect were ones that had fairly decent print runs. But I found another couple, so that was good. Yeah. flying through these now. I said we got the A format science fiction and fantasy to come. It's a couple of rows away, but I did film as much of it as I could. Yeah, so much there to get your teeth stuck into. And some of this I'm doing at full stretch because the bookcases do go up very, very high. Yeah, more sort of general stuff. As you can see, there's vintage mixed in with the more up-to-date stuff. Pelicans, Penguin specials, travel books, loads of it. Once again, more sort of miscellaneous vintage, some crime. McLeod paperbacks. There's his PG Woodhouses. Yeah, more astoundings on the floor. But yeah, anything that, use this really as a shop window to see, the stock that Morris has got there. I mean, it's just astounding. It goes on and on and on. But by far the easiest way to have a look through it is searching on the website for specific things, search by publisher, by author, what have you. And you do know that the warehouse stuff on the whole is usually of much superior quality because he's already cleared out the lower grade stuff into the pound shop. There's yet more Agatha Christie's, the lovely earlier Fontana editions, into the, I said, the later Tom Adams ones, which we've seen before. Yet more later Pam ones. There's some American Christie's, they're really nice. I like the American pocket ones. And Avon, got a few. They're really nice, those. Do his Ace paperbacks. Some later Ace doubles. He's got some earlier ones there as well. I said I didn't go through them in detail this time round. I just didn't really have the time. But suffice to say, there's loads there. Loads and loads to go through, as you can see. Then there's the black spines of the Ace UK ones, which are not related. Hillary Queens and Manhunt magazines, Adventure Pulps, London Mystery Selection magazine. Copies of New Worlds and Science Fantasy. I said lots and lots. Bob's got lots and lots as well. So They're there. They're there to be collected if you've got the space, which is probably the highest concern. Certainly it is for me. I think I'd love to collect both New Worlds and science fantasy as the two of choice, with maybe a run of Astounding from a certain point. But who's got the room? Anyway, onto the A format SF and fantasy now. And I, once again, as Steve will attest, the lighting was a little bit challenging, but some of it seems to have come out not too bad at all, even with just the flash of my phone, which is quite good. You'll see glimpses of nice condition door books. So I think the lower grade stuff, Morris has already been through and pulled all that. So the door books that he's got left pretty much are of a decent quality, I believe. Not all faded spines, which is the curse of the door book. It's that faded yellow spine. Bit of a mixture there. Jack Vance's. Yeah, these are the David Webbers. Sadly, the way I filmed these and the way they've come out is not exactly in strict alphabetical. It's sort of as I've come across it, but you get the idea. As I said, hopefully you can pause and still do a bit of a visual shop, at least enough to spot a title that you might want to look up on the website. And Morris, I'm sure, will be standing by. There's so much good stuff here. There's bits I'm seeing I wish I picked up, bits I forgot to pull out. I said, you get to a point when you've been book shopping all day, you can basically get booked out. That chopper cycle there, Morris had that for a while. I remember having one as a kid, a chopper, a staple of the 70s. In fact, I didn't have a chopper. I had the younger sort of version, one called the Tomahawk, which was its younger brother. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, we arrived at Morris's pretty early. I think about quarter to 9. I think we ended up leaving. It was almost 3 o'clock before we hit the road. I think 2:30 to 3, and I was pretty much exhausted. I was booked out. It's the sort of place you need to visit systematically, maybe a few times over the course of a week to really do it properly, But Morris is not expensive. He's very, very reasonable on his stock. And, well, the fact that he's thinking of having this book fair, I think, is really exciting news. I, for one, will be definitely attending that if I'm free. That's for certain. So, as I said, I will keep you posted on that. Once we've got some dates and perhaps dealers lined up, it gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. It's just enormous. Absolutely enormous. Had a nice run of Asimov. I pulled a few there. I'm slowly but surely pulling a run of British Asimov firsts together. And I've done pretty well lately. He's not that difficult to find. So I've picked up a few today of Morris. And that was always good. Recently picked up a copy of iRobot, which was a digit, one I've been after for about a year. It wasn't in very good condition, and I've done a repair job which I've filmed, I've actually used some bookbinding glue on this one, and it's come out really nice. So look out for that video coming up in a week or two's time. Repairing iRobot. To the Stephen Baxters there, who I was speaking to Steve about that. I wanted his opinion on what he thought of Stephen Baxter. And we both did events with him in the 90s. And he came into my shop when he was down at a local convention, signed all the stock. And back in the 90s, he did used to sell as well. But we're both of the opinion that he is a little bit boring. So that was that, really. Really nice guy. Books a bit boring. So there you go. I thought he was all right back in the 90s, but that was the last time I read him. So the last few shelves coming up now, and then we'll be looking at my pickups, of which I did, well, I think I did really, really good. And in fact, the whole month, I deliberately tried not to buy too much this month, and I've ended up with almost as much as I got last month, which is insane, because I just don't have the room for it. But when it comes your way and it's cheap and cheerful, it's hard to turn down. Very, very hard to turn down. Just going to need to get my library sorted sooner rather than later. More pulps and mags, omnis. The Stephen Donaldsons. Yes, absolutely amazing. Really comprehensive stock, I think you'll agree. Some of the old paperback show posters there, which Morris, of course, used to organise back in the day. And here's the last little bit of the shop before we start going through my my pickups. Definitely have far more doors than I thought in nice condition. I really should have checked a few more of those, to be honest, but I got a couple. I got a couple this time round. There's just so much other goodies to feast on. Lovely stuff. Oh, look at it all. Well, playing it back, actually, the lighting wasn't too bad, so I'm reasonably pleased with that, and I hope it looks as good as I'm hoping it's going to look when you play it back. All the Harry Harrisons, didn't get to check those this time. I ran out of time. Okay then, so as is customary, I'm going to go through all the books that I picked up in my recent haul at All You Need Is Books. These will be cleaned in a bit more detail in a week or so's time when I do my monthly pickups. But just to give you a little taster of what I picked up, these books were all from the £1 bookshop. So I very much would recommend you go to the £1 bookshop because there's so many bargains to be had there. So I shall just pop them all in for you to have a little look at here. We're not going to dwell on them too much now because we'll give them a clean in a week or so's time. As you can see, some good stuff here. A couple of books I've already got, like this one I've already got, but it's an upgrade at £1 a pop. I didn't want to leave it behind. Nice Fontana there. A slightly later Penguin that I didn't have. And beautiful A. Van Vogt. See, there's nothing wrong with this at all. It's just that Morris himself has got multiple copies of it, so he's just put them in his pound section. I don't tend to turn any Penguin science fiction down at £1, so I grabbed that one, as I did with that one as well. This is lovely. I mean, this is a common New English Library stroke Foursquare. They sort of cross over at this point, but just well worth picking up for £1. Some Stephen King. I've started picking him up in paperback first edition. That at £1 was too good to turn down. A couple of early Faber paperbacks. Great stuff at £1 each. This was perhaps the find of the day. It was the first and only printing of the Puffin edition of The Hobbit. Yes, it's got spine roll, but generally speaking, I mean, that's a scarce paperback. That I have already got one, so I'm going to keep that potentially as a trading token or just as a spare copy to read, because I do love that particular edition. I think it's lovely. But what a great find that was. I got some picadors. So 3 picadors, including that very early one there. It's not in top shape, but it's rare, that. At £1 each, and that one was nice at £1 as well. Pretty nice condition. Another later Pan. Amazingly, I found a compact that I didn't have. This one here. I'm running out of space, but yeah, I only need about 10 compact for the set of the science fiction ones, and there was actually one I needed in the £1 shop. Another bit of Penguin science fiction. An odd later Pan science fiction, and then an odd Panther, which not in the best of shape, but I'm actually going to perhaps give that one a read. So all of that stuff there literally just cost £1 each, which I thought was fantastic. Now the next bits and pieces of stuff actually was from Morris's main catalogue on the whole. I did get this one off him. So Morris did buy a huge Penguin collection last year, and this is one of the bits from it, and I've actually got the books already. There's 4 volumes of collected short stories, and he actually gave me that slipcase because I said I've got the books for it, which was nice. Now I don't remember the individual pricing on these, but these were ones from Morris's more normal stocks. There's one of the dolls there, collected Asimov great SF short stories. As I said, I'm picking up a few Stephen King. This was probably the most expensive one. Morris charged me a tenner for this one. It's a very scarce Philip Jose Farmer Sherlock Holmes story. Very, very scarce indeed. So I was pleased. That was the main sort of rarity I bought. That one was an absolute cracker. I picked up this Granada one here. Opus is the best of Isaac Asimov. There's a few Asimov in here. All big books, all first printings that were on my list of ones to crack, really. So I was really pleased to get that. Very nice Foursquare. The Long Weekend book. Pleased to get this, which was a Panther crime band that I didn't have. Now, these next few are some beautiful classic Collins crime titles from the 1930s. Now, there was a recent auction at Warren and Wignall. It was about 2 months ago, and although a lot of the lots went for huge money, Morris was able to get a few lots, and he did pick up in the end the box of Collins Crime Club. So I was able to go through all of those, and I picked out the following 8 or so that I didn't have myself. So I was really, really pleased to get dibs on these, and they're nice copies as well. So really, really nice. Some early ones and some slightly later ones, but none of these I actually have myself in any form. So I was really, really pleased, because I do like this sort of period. These are beautiful books. None of them have got dust wrappers on, and these early ones all came with dust wrappers, but these particular ones don't. I'm very pleased to get that. Evil Under the Sun. Very, very pleased to get that indeed. So that's those, and I have got a few more to get out for you. It was a pretty good day. So this is the last of it. So this is a couple of 1960s crime titles that were in nice nick, which I knew I didn't have. Fantastic Voyage 2, another Asimov there, which I didn't have. And Big Thick was... See, you find that online, and it's tough. It's tough to find one in first printing, and then they're going to charge you £4 for the postage. So picking one up there and then for a few pounds was well worth it. A reasonably early Stephen King, that one in Futura First. I was very pleased to get that. An absolute classic, Robots of Dawn, with that great, is it Chris Foss? Yeah, Chris Foss jacket on that. How cool is that? A toucan. I've had my toucans out recently, and there is actually another one here, I believe. Yeah, I got 2 toucans. There was at least one other one there, but it was one I already had, so I left that behind. So a couple of toucans, which was brilliant on the vintage front. A first paperback of the Tommy Knockers, which was a great Stephen King. I remember enjoying that one. I've got a couple of Foursquare, vintage Foursquare that I didn't have. And the last one was yet another Door, which was Door 426, which is the Asimov's Great SF Stories, Volume 5. So there you go. What an amazing haul, and what a place to visit. So if you've enjoyed today's video, do please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, we got my friend Steve, the Outlaw Bookseller. He's put his record of our trip to All You Need Is Books up on his channel right now. So I'll link to it at the end, but you can go off and watch yet another tour and see Steve's slightly different perspective on the trip. But it's absolutely fantastic. Definitely put it on your wants list as a place to visit. And well, yeah, details in the description down below. Thanks very much for watching today, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.